I'd actually already recorded today's video, but I've had to come back and redo it because the news has changed. Not in a good way either. I'd love to be sat here telling you that the club had announced a statement saying that they had mutually agreed to termination of David Moyes' contract, blah, blah, blah. We'd like to thank David and his team for all their hard work. No, that's not what I'm saying has happened here. So as I record this very, very late on Monday night, the Monday news has taken a little bit of a turn. If we just backtrack a number of hours, earlier on during the day on Monday, the club let it be known via their favoured sources that David Moyes was safe until the Nottingham Forest game. Actually, not only safe until the Nottingham Forest game, but he could even possibly lose that one. There were really odd words. I was going to say word sentiments, actually. We hope. We really hope that David Moyes can turn it around. Hope. I mean, you don't want to hear about hope, do you? You want to hear some sort of cohesive and strategic reasoning why he can turn it around, not hope. But this goes back to what I was saying in yesterday's videos, which was, what are they looking for? What have they seen? I don't think they've seen anything. I actually do think they're hoping. So, I mean, if that noise emanating from the club wasn't irritating enough, as I record this now, there's some even more disturbing news. So I think what's happened, reading between the lines, is the club have put that statement out, or sorry, it's not a statement, but unofficially leaked that David Moyes is safe, and there's been a backlash, a massive backlash to it. So they've probably felt the need to sort of quantify it, and they basically almost come out and said, by their trusted sources later on in the day, they've updated that initial statement and said, well, actually, pretty much we'd like to get rid of him, but there are no candidates. There are no candidates who want to take the job. I mean, I really don't know where to start with this at all. Aside from the obvious one, which is, well, what the bloody hell did you expect? Because the candidates were around in November when you should have done it. It's not with hindsight. This was always going to happen. So many people said this would happen, that you would get to a point where everybody else had the advantage on you. And when I say everybody else, I mean your rivals, your relegation rivals, and you'd be left with nobody. This is what's happened. They're looking around for a rescue guy to rescue West Ham from the drop. They pretty much admitted that they lost all faith in David Moyes, which explains why they said the thing about the hope in the initial statement. They've admitted they've lost all faith in him, but they've also admitted there's no one that will do the job. Apparently the last two names that will do the job are Rafa Benitez and Bielsa, both on a 3.5-year contract. I don't blame them. Who wants to come in for 6 months on a firefighting job at West Ham? Honestly, I mean, why would you? It's just not attractive at all. The one guy, the firefighter, the modern day Sam Allardyce and Tony Pulis, if you want, is Sean Dyche. Again, this is not news with hindsight. Everybody knew this. Everybody knew that if that's what they wanted, then they had to go and get him. They didn't. Everton got him. I'd imagine Everton are safe. Let me just read, if I can be, I mean, it's frustrating. This is an article in The Guardian. I haven't even looked to see if it's from Jacob Steinberg or not. If it is, well, look, we know he's got the ear of the board. Let's put it that way. It says, West Ham's struggle to identify a suitable replacement for David Moyes could save the manager from the sack, even if they lose to Nottingham Forest on Saturday. It says the hierarchy is concerned about the shortage of available candidates, honestly, and looks set to delay a decision over Moyes' future. Are you joking? Delay it? They're going to delay it. All they've done is delay a decision over his future. So there are doubts over Rafa Benitez, who is out of work. So they have doubts about Rafa Benitez. Carlos Corberán, who signed a new deal at West Brom, is also viewed as a future target. Oh, a future target. Like they've got the luxury of time. Sources have said West Ham are desperate not to have to sack Moyes. What is that about? Why are they desperate not to have to sack him? It says that Moyes has overseen improvement in his side's form before losing to Spurs. The 59-year-old was braced for the worst if West Ham had lost at home to Everton last month, but they won that game convincingly, and follows it up with draws against Newcastle and Chelsea. It said there remains a desire for Moyes, who has guided West Ham into Europe in successive campaigns. This is a puff piece here. A lot of this is. It's basically, they're telling you, the journalist is telling you what Moyes has done right. This is not cutting edge stuff. This is not cutting right to the heart of it. there's platitudes in this. There remains a desire for Moyes, who's guided West Ham into Europe in successive campaigns, to turn the situation around. At the same time, there's disgruntlement within the club over their poor form. They spent more than 160 million. Oh, you can bet your arse it was more than 160 million on new signings last summer. They strengthened in attack. Anyway, it tells you a load of stuff that you as West Ham fans already know. It says West Ham were 18th before facing Forest. They used a defensive lineup against Spurs and were punished for their lack of ambition in the second half. There you go. That's honest. That's a good piece of writing. It says Declan Rice, the club captain, later appeared to question the approach. Rice is expected to leave in the summer, with Arsenal leading the way. Look, there's more and more stuff. Declan Rice isn't the only one criticising the approach. Areola pretty much openly criticised it. I think that's fair to say. Manuel Lanzini's wife had a pop at David Moyes as well. I don't want to say too much about the young lad, just in case it wasn't. It'd be unfair. It's clear. It's never mind disgruntlement between the board and the manager. There's disgruntlement between the players and the manager. This is obvious. I mean, this is absolutely obvious. So now they're noticing something that us fans noticed back in November. Now and I will openly say, many people way before that. But I think November's a good cut-off point. I like to talk about that one. The reason being is we had a chance to do something about it. There was a big break before the World Cup and a new manager can come in and prepare for January. There was trouble then. We were in massive trouble then. We'd been out of form for a long time. We've been terrible all this season. That was the time to do something. And now they're scratching around thinking, oh, hold on, there's no candidates around. There's something else at the bottom of the article as well, by the way. It says, Moyes will be desperate for a restorative win over Forest, who are 5 points above the bottom three. West Ham, who are a point below 17th place. Bournemouth, we're below Bournemouth. I know you know that, but say it out loud. We're below Bournemouth, right? I like Bournemouth. Nothing wrong with Bournemouth. Nice place to go. Lovely place. Go on holiday. Lovely down there. Got Christchurch just down the bay a little. Go the other way. Go to Poole, Sandbanks. Lovely. Cross over the harbour. Studland, Swanage, Corfe Castle. Love it. Nothing wrong with Bournemouth at all. We love it down in Bournemouth. It's not that. My point is they are a very, very small club. Lovely club, but small club. We're below Bournemouth, right? Anyway. He said, then we visit Manchester United in the fifth round of the FA Cup. Crikey. Before we have league games against Brighton, Aston Villa and Manchester City. Before heading into next month's international break. It said, West Ham... Anyway, it basically, in this article, it doesn't say it, but in another article, it talks about Graham Potter, us waiting for Graham Potter possibly to get sacked. I mean, you couldn't honestly make this stuff up. You really couldn't. The manager hasn't got a clue what he's doing, and the owners don't have a clue what they're doing. They haven't got a clue. They are so slow to do anything. It reminds me of somebody doing their Christmas shopping, an hour before the shops close on Christmas Eve. This is us. This is us. No foresight, no planning. We didn't have an inkling that we were going to be in trouble. It's crazy. Yet it's the fans. It's the fans who lack football intelligence, according to David Moyes. I think we're probably the only ones that have called it accurately for quite some time. The Graham Potter thing is probably a story for another day. But if what they think they're doing is waiting for Chelsea to lose so Potter gets sacked, then they can appoint Graham Potter and everything will be all right with the world, I'm not so sure. Now, don't get me wrong, I actually think he's a good manager, but he's a project manager. He took over from Chris Hughton at Brighton. It took a while. He had to implement his strategy. He had to change the style of football. I don't think he rocks in and suddenly gets David Moyes' players purring. He's not that type of guy. I think if we went down, and I think there's a high chance of it happening, he'd probably be a good manager to get, and maybe that's what they're thinking. But he's not that guy. If that's what they're thinking, we'll just wait until Potter becomes available, and then we'll get him and he'll keep us up. Well, maybe he won't. Also, maybe he won't become available. Maybe he'll start winning games with Chelsea. But it was the waiting that got the board in this mess to start with. And, I mean, someone asked yesterday, when's the pressure going to start coming on the board? Well, I think it's now. I think it's now on them. It's absolutely on them. We know David Moyes' deficiencies. We know what he's incapable of doing. We know that it's clear, and I say we, I do mean the vast majority. I know there's some people who don't agree, and I don't claim to speak for you. You know, I really don't. If you've got a difference of opinion, that's absolutely fine. But we know something's wrong. We know that David Moyes can't pull it round. The board, unfortunately, don't seem to share that belief.